Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a video here to talk about something that I have literally not whatsoever any experience with. This is a review for the Warcraft film from 2016. It's actually based on World of Warcraft on, the internet, the very humongous game, RPG, whatever that you can play online. I never got a chance to actually play it for myself. The only time I ever saw the game played in front of me, aside from clips here and there from some of my favorite YouTube channels, like Alex Hexagon, by the way. Go check out him. Great, great guy. My cousin, one time, I came over to my dad's weekend at the house, at my grandparents' house, basically, at this time, and my cousin lived there, and he was playing World of Warcraft online. And I had never experienced anything like that. I had grown up with some fantasy stuff. I'm more of a sci-fi guy, more of a horror guy, especially. Comic books, so on and so on. Many of you know that. But I didn't really grow up with fantasy. Never really been a big fan of that. The only thing I've really considered myself a hardcore fan of was Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls game. I played it for the first time about 2 years ago, and I was obsessed, to say the least. Probably one of the best games I've ever played, easily. But anyway, World of Warcraft looked like it would be kind of my thing now. At the time, not so much. There was a lot that game offered, like colors and this expansive world that people could just go off and do mining or, try to fight the nearest dude for no reason. Kind of like RuneScape. I played RuneScape a little bit back in the day. I liked it for what it was, but I was not as into it as everybody else. But that was at a time you didn't have to have the peak technology and hardware, software, anything to make that game work well on your computer. I feel like World of Warcraft wouldn't have worked well on any of my computers growing up, or even now, for that matter. So anyway, Warcraft the film, I gotta be upfront with you. I watched it, I paid attention, because I really thought it was a beautiful, well done, mostly really great CGI made movie. It's live action, but there's so much CGI to it. Story-wise, I don't understand a fucking thing that happened in this movie. I mean, obvious things happen, like somebody might die, somebody might sacrifice themselves, somebody could be an orc, for example. This one guy that's kind of a main character, but the film doesn't really have a main character. It jumps all over the place, and sometimes these people cross paths, sometimes they don't. But there's like an orc guy that he and his wife begin the film having a baby. The baby is born stillborn. And then like a local priest that uses like some kind of green magic brings the stillborn back to life and its skin turned green. You start to look around, a lot of these guys have green skin, but not all of them. So it's there's stuff like that as a non-player, as a non-fan, I guess, at least at this moment in my life of the game, I don't have a fucking clue what happened there, what the lore is. That might have been something that fans raved about, but for me, I have heard a lot of people say over the years, normies like myself who know nothing about this franchise, and people who I know who love the franchise, like my cousin, hated this movie. But now I look online after seeing it for the first time, and it seems like a lot of people really, really like it now. I don't know what happened, what changed, but it seems like a lot of people dig it. And I gotta tell you, I wanted to like this so much. I've been looking for a copy of this film for cheap. I found one for $3 at a local store I love. But I've been looking for a cheaper copy because I wasn't sure whether I would like it or not. And again, the visuals are beautiful. I think the directing of like these big, humongous, fantastical scenes and, fucking giant birds and shit flying in the sky and all the magic stuff, it's shot very well. The CGI is done very well. There's nothing questionable about those things for me personally, and what I expected out of this film. And frankly, let me put it like this. You compare it to things coming out now, the CGI in them, and it's insane. For a fraction of the budget, what these people were able to do back then with the CGI, with the hard work, even with a cast that's really not that well known. I know the one guy is on the show Vikings. He may be the main character, I don't know. But I specifically knew my boy Ben Foster is in here. He's some kind of magician. He may or may not be trustworthy. He was okay in the movie. He really didn't have much to work with. Ben Foster's fantastic. I love this guy. completely vanished off of the face of the earth, alongside another actor in the film who plays a king, Dominique Cooper. If he doesn't sound familiar, he was the bad guy in the Need for Speed movie. And I don't hate Dominique Cooper either. I think he's alright, but he's not a Ben Foster is what I'm trying to say. Now, Ben Foster also has this, like, apprentice guy who's he's fairly knowledgeable, but he's also kind of a noob. And he's just, like, a guy with a modern haircut that's, like, the humorous part of the movie. Didn't think he fit in the film at all. Again, all this lore stuff, I can't even really comment, because there's not really a main story to this movie. There's not really any main character, like I said. It's trying to juggle so many things, and I feel like it's the same thing that most big fantasy games and stuff, if they were made into a movie, would fall for. You couldn't do Elder Scrolls as a movie. You could try, but I don't think you could do it. The point of these things that makes them so fun is the exploration, the endless hours that you dump into, like, trying to dig for gold under a tree root and shit. You know what I mean? They're talking to people, talking to NPCs. In this case, talking to real-life people in World of Warcraft. So, for you fans out there who love the games, I would love to hear down below what your thoughts are on the film, whether you think it's fairly doing a good job as a representation of what you and the fans really wanted, what the games are like, so on and so on. But, like, then there's other stories in here that I don't think I've ever seen this in any kind of, like, video or anything I've seen on the internet. There's, like, this really hot orc lady. I don't know if she's, like, half orc or what, but all of them are, like, insanely muscular and buff. She is literally, like, a really buff woman in real life, painted green, and wearing, like a belly shirt and stuff. And they do, like, a love story with her. This was clearly supposed to be, like, a trilogy of films, if not a big franchise, and it never got a sequel. Not really surprised why. By the end of it, you're kind of setting up a story that they could do a trilogy out of, but this first movie is so messy, you could never really get people, in my opinion, to go see 2 and 3. I think, because I've wanted to see this for so long, I've always had the opinion that this looked like it'd be a cool movie. And I thought I'd have the same reaction of something that got a negative review, like Dracula Untold, which I love, or, I don't know, Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman. That also got ripped apart, and I still think it's great and a fun time. But it wasn't like those. For the special effects, that's what you're here for. For the fantasy elements, if you're a big, fantasy fan of any kind, especially the medieval, magical type stuff, this also has a little bit of interdimensional travel, which was kind of neat in a fantasy movie. I think it was dimensional, the way they talked, but I could be wrong about that. Again, clarify that if you are a fan. I'd love to hear that down below. But all of that stuff culminated into something that I thought it wasn't boring, it was confusing, and I didn't get it. I also noticed, too, there's a big issue that everybody complains about with sound mixing in movies. And I don't think it comes down to as simply your setup at home. Because I can watch, Star Wars, I can watch newer Star Wars films. I don't have the issues that I have with movies like this, where the sound mixing is so fucking messy that no matter how high I have the TV, the music blares and tries to burst your eardrums, but then they'll have the music volume too loud in the middle of scenes, and you can't understand, like, for example, the orcs. They have their voices modified to be very deep, in an obviously very faux way, and it blends into the bass of the music, and so you can't hear what they're fucking saying most of the time. And for me, I'm new to all this. I'm new to this whole world. I don't know what you're saying right now. Then you get, like, Ben Foster and all them. They're all mumbling in their movie, underneath the music. Now, don't get me wrong. I think, personally, the score they made for this film, and I assume it's the same one from the game. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a modified version. I don't know. The score is awesome. I really, really, really love the music in this movie. That was probably the best part, outside of the CGI and visuals. But man, dude, the dialogue is, it's incomprehensive, as far as I know. The way it's written, how it's said, where it's edited in under the sound mixing and whatnot, it's a fucking mess, bro. But back to the CGI thing, I have to cover this. I was going to say this and I got sidetracked, as per usual. You look at this new Superman film from James Gunn. We've all seen the clip of the robot that's excited that Superman acknowledged her existence and said thank you to her in the Fortress of Solitude. The CGI of Superman being lifted up by these robots that clearly are not there is horrendous. The robots look horrendous, not just in their design, which I also think kind of looks shitty. I don't care what comic it may be from. It's the way he's lifted up and everything. It's clearly by wires, not people right there on the screen. Seeing that recently shocked me a little bit. Like, this is going to be in a real movie, in a real theater, with fucking Superman in it. I'm not saying we have to have the best of the best CGI for the movie's story and emotions to work, and the performances to work, and the directing to be epic. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is a movie with as big of a budget as that, or the IP and how respectful the company should be to it, Warner Brothers in this case, you see that, and you're like, what the fuck am I looking at? You see Warcraft from 2016, almost 10 years ago as of next year in 2026, and the CGI is amazing. Yeah, the film pretty much bombed. I'd be willing to bet it probably bombed, if not just barely succeeded. But dude, you can't sit here and say it's not fairly... To me, from what I saw no signs of political interference or anything. 2016 was really the beginning of that, but mainly in comics in 2015. You don't see any disrespect like that, like you saw with Star Wars a few years later, or really the next year when Last Jedi came out in 2017. You don't really see any signs of that here. Warcraft may have bombed, but you didn't hear them all over the internet saying it was because the fans were scummy, or calling you whatever ist or phobe that they wanted to call you. You gotta admire them for that. You know what I mean? Warcraft, I definitely did not hate it at all. But I definitely did not like it that much. I gotta be honest with you. This is one of those ones I will not keep in the collection. It's going right in the Goodwill, Salvation Army bin, whatever you want to call it, across the room over there. It's not staying in the collection. I just have no reason to ever watch this again, despite how pretty it was. But anyway, what did you guys think about Warcraft? As a normie, as a hardcore fan of the game, I'd love to hear everything you have to say down below. Let me know, because I like talking about stuff like this with the fans, even if I don't understand everything in it, and probably never will because I'm not a big Warcraft gamer guy. But anyway, let me know what you think. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later. Do you think they should have made another sequel? Or a sequel? Do you think they should have taken another crack at it? I know people have talked about a Warcraft TV show potentially. I don't think it'll ever happen after this movie. I just don't. And the time would probably be now, with the video game movie obsession really kicking in now. But I don't see it, man. I just don't. Anyway, thank you all. God bless you again. Catch you later, and goodbye.